Clint Eastwood saves lion cub from a giant anaconda. What happens next will leave you breathless. A tale of courage and redemption. The setup: a jungle on the edge of chaos. The Amazon rainforest was alive with the sounds of nature, the chirping of birds, the rustling of leaves, and the distant calls of howler monkeys. The dense canopy above filtered the sunlight, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. It was a place of unparalleled beauty, but also of untold danger. For Clint Eastwood, the legendary actor and filmmaker, this was a world far removed from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. He had come to the jungle to film a documentary about wildlife conservation, but today he was taking a rare moment to himself, soaking in the raw beauty of the untamed land. Clint adjusted his hat and took a slow sip from his canteen. The crew was back at camp, preparing for the next day's shoot, but Clint had always been drawn to the solitude of the wild. It was in these quiet moments that he felt most alive, most connected to the world around him. But the peace was shattered by a sound that sent a chill down his spine, a low, guttural hiss, followed by a high-pitched yelp. Clint froze, his sharp instincts kicking in. He turned his head, scanning the horizon, and that's when he saw it. The encounter: a lion cub in peril. Lying in the shadow of a massive tree was a lion cub, its golden fur matted with dirt and blood. The cub's tiny body was trembling, and its breathing was shallow. It was clear the animal had been through hell. But the cub wasn't alone. Coiled around it was a giant anaconda, its scales glistening in the sunlight as it tightened its grip on its prey. Clint's heart sank. He had always had a soft spot for animals, especially big cats. They were majestic, powerful, and often the kings of their domain. Seeing one in such a state was like a punch to the gut. The anaconda hissed, its forked tongue flicking out as it assessed the new threat. Clint knew he had to act fast. Anacondas were relentless predators, and they wouldn't hesitate to attack him if he got in their way. The rescue: a dangerous gamble. Clint grabbed a large stick from the ground and stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. The anaconda turned to face him, its eyes narrowing as it assessed the new threat. Clint didn't back down. He raised the stick above his head and let out a guttural roar, channeling the same intensity that had made him a Hollywood legend. "Back off!" he shouted, his voice echoing across the jungle. The anaconda hesitated, its hisses growing louder, but Clint didn't give it a chance to regroup. He swung the stick with all his might, striking the snake on the head. The anaconda recoiled in pain, but it didn't let go of the cub. Clint knew he had to get the cub out of there, and fast. He dropped the stick and ran to the cub's side, kneeling beside it. The lion cub looked up at him with pleading eyes, its tiny tail giving a weak wag. "Easy, little one," Clint said, his voice calm but firm. "I've got you." With a grunt of effort, Clint grabbed the cub and pulled it free from the anaconda's grip. The snake hissed in anger, its massive body coiling tighter as it prepared to strike. The escape: a race against time. Clint turned and began running back toward the camp, the cub cradled in his arms. The anaconda slithered after him, its hisses growing louder as it closed in. The jungle seemed to stretch on forever, the dense foliage slowing him down. But Clint refused to give up. He could hear the anaconda behind him, its massive body crashing through the undergrowth. Finally, he reached a narrow stream. Without hesitation, Clint waded into the water, the cool liquid providing a brief respite from the heat. The anaconda hesitated at the edge of the stream, its hisses growing more frustrated. But it couldn't follow him into the water. Clint waited until the anaconda finally gave up and slithered away. Then he emerged from the stream and continued toward the camp, his legs trembling with exhaustion. The aftermath. A bond forms. Back at the camp, the crew was shocked to see Clint carrying a bloodied lion cub. They quickly cleared a space for him to lay the animal down, and a set medic rushed over to examine the cub. "He's in bad shape," the medic said, his voice grim, "but he's a fighter. With some care, he might pull through." Clint nodded, his eyes never leaving the cub. He had saved the animal's life, but he knew the battle wasn't over yet. Over the next few days, Clint stayed by the cub's side, feeding him, cleaning his wounds, and talking to him in a soothing voice. The crew started calling the cub Leo, after Clint's character in one of his most famous films. It was a fitting name. The cub had the heart of a lion. As Leo began to recover, he and Clint formed an unbreakable bond. The cub followed him everywhere, his tiny paws paw